Is Carol Hardaway of Salisbury, Maryland. Carol?
Thank you. I have multiple sclerosis, but could not afford insurance. Without the treatment or medications I need, I had problems with walking, with my speech, and my vision. When the Affordable Care Act was passed, I moved from our home state of Texas, because they refused to expand Medicaid, to Maryland. And within 2 weeks, I started receiving treatments through Medicaid and am now well enough to work as a substitute teacher. Senator Cruz, can you promise me that you and the Republican leaders in Congress will actually have a replacement plan in place for people like me who depend on their Medicaid? In other words, I like my coverage. Can I keep it?
Well, Carol, thank you for sharing your story, and congratulations on dealing with MS. It's a terrible disease, and congratulations on your struggles dealing with it. You know, if you look at Medicaid, more than half of the people who've been covered under Obamacare have been under Medicaid. And the problem is Medicaid is a profoundly troubled program, and so it may be working well with you. But I'll tell you, nationally, the health outcomes under Medicaid are really poor. Nationally, 54% of doctors won't take new Medicaid patients. Nationally, dental care appointments for moms are denied at a 63% rate on Medicaid. The denial rate for private insurance is 4%. And Medicaid patients are almost twice as likely to die from medical treatment as those with private health insurance. The solution for people who are hurting, I believe, we should have a system that allows as many people as possible to be on the private health insurance of your choice rather than Medicaid, because the Medicaid outcomes are not working and people are suffering. And what's happened also, it's really quite striking, because Obamacare dramatically expanded Medicaid, many of the people who had been on Medicaid, many of the people who were really suffering and needy, have found their wait times increasing. In fact, in Illinois, on Medicaid, over 700 people have died on the waiting list for care for Medicaid. So I'm glad that you're receiving health care. I can tell you a great many of the people on Medicaid aren't, and I'd much rather see a system where we can have millions of those on Medicaid getting health insurance. And the only way they can is if we have competition so that rates are lower so that you can afford to have health insurance.
Senator Sanders.
We heard from a woman who runs a hair salon in Fort Worth who can't afford to provide health insurance to her workers and for herself. We hear a story now about a woman who has to leave her own state, go to another state, because that state is providing Medicaid. My friends, you are living, I know you don't know this, by these stories. You're living in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, where the rich are becoming phenomenally richer, while we have 43 million people living in poverty and the middle class is in decline. These stories are obscene. They should not be taking place in the United States. Now, are there problems with Medicaid? Of course there are. But I will tell you something. To those Republican governors around the country who told poor people that they would not be able to, for the first time in their lives, in many instances, get access to health care, to be able to go to a doctor when the federal government paid for the first 3 years at 100%. I hope that those governors sleep well at night, because I don't know how many people lost their lives as a result of their decision. So once again, what we are looking at is a dysfunctional system. We spend more, we get less. People who work hard have no health insurance. People have to move.